Uh, so we are starting a new section today on perspective. And I like to start with first imaginary boxes and then eventually real boxes. Okay. And really, the idea of perspective is thinking about your relationship to the object that you're drawing. Okay. And I will give you several tools to now help you draw things more accurately. Okay. So the first thing before we draw real boxes is we're going to draw some imaginary boxes. All right. So what I want everyone to do is they have their sheet of paper, your sheet of paper in front of you. Okay. And you are going to fold your sheet of paper in half lengthwise. Okay. So here's your piece of paper. You're going to fold it lengthwise in half. Okay. And put a crease on it. Then you are going to open up your sheet of paper and you should have a line across it. And this is, obviously, you're going to be using your full-size sheet of paper, okay? So you got your horizontal line down the middle of your paper, okay? And I'm going to draw up here what that should sort of look like. Here's your paper, okay? All right, and you just folded it in half. And you are also going to now trace that line with your pencil, and you can use your ruler to do it quickly. So you should have something that looks like this, okay? Now the first thing we're going to do is draw imaginary boxes, all right? Just so you can see how a box is constructed in space and sort of the steps you will eventually be going through to draw a box correctly that's in front of you, okay? So if you look at a box, all right, and it's flat, facing flat in front of you, but it's above your eyes, you see the bottom of the box. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. So you're going to simply draw. You can freehand this or use a ruler, whichever one you want. You're going to freehand drawing your box. Okay, and this line that you drew here represents actually your horizon line. Okay, and that's also known as eye level. Okay, it represents your eyes in relationship to the objects in the drawing. So here's your box, and it is above eye level. So we are going to see the bottom of the box. Now, when I showed you the box, okay, it was flat in front of you, right? So we are going to draw the flat square. And again, this is an imaginary box, so you can make it any size you want. It can be square, it can be rectangle, whatever. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to pick a point. And the point has to be somewhere underneath this box, okay? We're going to pick a point, okay? Then we're going to draw lines connecting the box to the point. So we end up with this sort of upside down house looking thing, okay? Now the last thing is we have to decide how big the box is. So we draw a line across, and there's our box, okay? So this part sort of gets erased, and our box looks like this floating up in the space. Something similar to our box like this, okay? Now, if it's below eye level, you can see, which is hard to say, see because it's being cut off by the thing, but you see the top of the box, okay? So we're going to draw another box. I guess we'll do a different shape, okay? Steal the same point, and again, it can be any point, but it should be behind the box, and I'll explain, get to that reason later. So you got to pick a point. We're just going to pick the same point because it's already there, okay? And again, we draw a little triangle, okay? And then we decide how big the box. Maybe this box is bigger. Okay, so it goes back in space a little bit more. It's really messy, but and there's our box. Okay. Now, if we're on one point and we are at eye level, okay, we can see that we don't see the top or bottom of the box. That's super easy to draw. We have, there's our box at eye level, okay? Now we're gonna, so that is a box drawn in one point perspective. And it basically means that the sides of the box are going away from you in space to one vanishing point, okay? Because that is what this represents, the vanishing point. And if you can think about the railroad tracks coming together in space, that's your vanishing point. So I'm going to have you, hang on, refer to the handout I gave you, okay? And there's some things in the handout that are important to know. So this is your picture plane, okay? This is the first page, page 8 that I'm looking at, okay? And it shows the picture plane, and it shows, the picture plane just means your paper, okay? And you can see the vanishing point is where the table disappears to, okay? And the vanishing point, if you notice, is at eye level because they have the little guy off to the side, and that's really where he's standing. They just move him off to the side so you can kind of see what he's looking at. So the vanishing point is at eye level, and that's an important thing, okay? And vanishing point is also the horizon line, okay? And if you can imagine the railroad tracks or even this scene here, if you are up higher, you get a different view. And if you're like laying on the ground, you get a different view. And that vanishing point adjusts depending on where your eyes are in relationship to what you're looking at. And that's the important thing to take note of. Okay. Now, the other thing I want you to look at is the next page, which is the page behind it. And it talks about, if you notice, A, B, C, and D. And there's 4 ways that you can look at a table, okay? So in expressing visual data, individuals and cultures as a whole make choices, some conscious, some unconscious, as to what aspects of their experience of a phenomenon can or should be expressed in a drawing or an image. So here are the different images. Each of these drawings of a table is expressing different sets of information about the table. And each one of them are totally valid and correct. They just show, they're almost using different code or different ways to express it. They're showing different things, different information. So number A shows several points of view at once. So it shows the front of the desk, it shows the top of the desk. So, and it shows the 4 legs all sort of there at once. Do you get that? It's a table with like an egg and a glass on it? Yeah, of course you get that idea. But it's expressing something, you know, multiple perspectives at once. B is probably the most useful if you were to build the table, right? It's a schematic almost out of the table. So if you wanted to construct the table, that would be the drawing that you would want to look at. C is almost showing sort of an expression or an artistic drawing of the table, sort of you're trying to show something about the table. And D is a single point of view, and it's trying to appear the most natural optical point of view. So it's showing true perspective. And that's what we're going for in this section, is at least show you and help you understand how to draw something accurately in space, okay? So now we're flipping over because I just showed you how to draw the box in 1-point parallel perspective. So here we are at the 1-point parallel perspective page, and you can see how all the boxes are going to that one vanishing point, okay? So, and you can see the guy, he's drawing the object. It's 1-point parallel perspective, which means that this line here, okay, this top of the box is parallel to the vanishing point, and that's the important thing about it, okay? Now we're going to go to 2-point parallel perspective. So I usually refer to this as 1-point perspective, and now this page here as 2-point perspective. And that's the idea that the box, okay, the corner of the box is the closest thing to you. So you have this side coming away from you and this side going away from you. Okay, so you have 2 sides sort of moving away from you in space. So again, we're going to do some imaginary boxes. And for this, we'll start at top again. So you can see we have 1 point here. And you can, again, pick 2 points. So I'm going to, let's say, pick this point. Let's say pick this point. Okay, 2 points, all right, along the horizon line. And we're again, draw our triangles, okay, to our points. And this is where a ruler does come in handy. So we end up with this sort of chevron, kind of weird looking shape. And again, we're going to decide how big our box is. Okay, maybe making this side a little shorter. I don't know. And the box goes straight up and down. There is something also called 3-point perspective. And that's the idea you're looking at like a skyscraper way up in the air. And there's a vanishing point that happens way up high. We are not dealing with that. This is enough. And that we're not dealing with any big space where that should be an issue, at least where you can really see it. So here's this box. We drew how big the box is. Now this point goes over here, and this point goes over here. And there's our box. Okay? All right, now we're going to go below eye level. All right, and we'll pick the same points. Why not? Okay. You can pick different points. If you notice that your points, if you put them really close together, your box might look a little distorted, almost like a fisheye view of a box. It's still okay. It just, in real life, it would never look like that, but you're still constructing the box all right. So if you're like, my box looks strange, but I did everything she said, that could be why. And if it's bothering you, just put the points further apart on your paper, and you'll see your box will look more normal, okay? So again, we draw the two triangles, one going to this point, one going to this point, okay? Decide how big I want my box to be. This one, let's make this box big on that side and skinny on that side, okay? Now here's the part if students mess up, this is usually where they mess up. Remember this point, because we decided this is the top of the box, is going to go over here, all right? And this box, this point here is going to go over there. So there's our box, okay? And if you can't see it very well, here's like sort of the top of the box. Okay, so hopefully that's clear, all right? And lastly, if we are at eye level, okay, then you can see you don't see the top or bottom of the box, right? So we're going to draw the box right at eye level. So we have this one like this. And let's put a point here and a point here. It's going to look a little strange because it's really close to it, but that's okay. There's that point, and here's this point. I'm drawing all over my marks. All right, so we get something like this. All right, and we can draw this like this. Decide how big my box is. All right, and there's my box. Okay, and that's the box 2-point perspective on eye level. All right, so I want you guys to, if you haven't followed along or have some catch up to do, let's take a few minutes for you to finish drawing your boxes in your imaginary boxes in space on your sheet of paper.